fucking 50, almost 50.
Anyway, so we hit recording already, and here we are at the Bert Joe. So the only person that doesn't have to be isolated is obviously Ray Sheffield. Ray Sheffield. Before we even introduce anybody, welcome all the way from San Francisco. Joining us. But the Bert Joe Show. What are we? Episode 5 now, Bertsky.
I don't know. Legends edition.
Hey,
Get her going.
We just pulled out of the archives. Indiana Jones dropped this on my fucking plate. Here we are. We're dropping old school rivalries. We got two Canadians. We got an Aussie. We got an American. We got two residents, two Aussies now. We got two former dogs, two former Narso. This shit's gonna get out of hand today, Bertsky. I don't know what happened.
This is a weird fucking omelet.
This is. But let's see what happened. We got Anthony Willow Wilson here. How you doing, Willow?
Good, buddy. Doing well.
Awesome. And we got the notorious Raymond Razor Sheffield.
Hey.
Where are you at? Where are you at? What is that? San Francisco?
San Francisco, man.
Yeah. That's
San Francisco.
Right? California. They got legalized marijuana there, I heard. Anyways, let's hop into this. Hey? Let's hop.
They got legalized a lot of stuff.
Legalized. Yeah. That's why Razor just magically appears there. Not only he's just not in the clouds. He is the clouds.
Apparently, they do a naked marathon.
Razor, is that true?
I haven't done that yet, but
yeah,
I'll do it. I'll do it.
Lucky you give yourself a bleeding nose.
This is how today's going to happen.
We're off.
What a great day. Where do we start? Bertsky, where do we start?
Well, let's go from the beginning. Obviously, Willow, you're a pioneer of the ice hockey community through, I don't know, since when did you start playing hockey?
Started in the 80s, early 80s, and then I think we kicked off the Ice Dogs in the early 2000s when, yeah.
And obviously, your father is an absolute pioneer of the sport. When did he open the Blacktown rink, or when did he acquire the rink?
He took over in about 98, 99. The previous owner sold him a pretty fucked business and on a lot of lies, and basically sold him a dream. And Dad was just passionate about having a rink. He always had been, and thought it was a bit of a dream come true for him and Mum, and bought it off this con artist. And despite what I told him, and found out that there were so many issues with the place. Anyway, he invested his life into it. And just a couple of days ago, he said he'd do it all again, despite how much money it cost him. He just said, the amount of people that he met and the lifelong friends, he said it's irreplaceable. Yeah.
Where were you guys playing before that? Was it mostly?
We're playing out of Blacktown. I'd played a season with the Bears because the Super League had kind of gone back to 3 teams, and the Blacktown team left, and then went and did a year with the Bears. And then we came back after that. So I think that was a year with the Bears in the AIHL, and then after that year, it was time for the Dogs to join the league. So that was probably about 02 or something like that. 03, I think 03.
So we started in 02. So you guys actually started the year or maybe 2 years prior. So you played a couple of years in the league prior to us being in there.
I gotta disclose this now, guys. Like, a lot of years blur into one. So if I make a few mistakes, Ray, I'd prefer you don't pick them up all the way through this chat.
Razor, right? That the only thing that Ray doesn't remember. Ray doesn't remember what time his shift starts in the afternoon. Remember what year the
Coach, I only got 3 minutes this game.
Exactly. He still asks us, Ray, we're gonna start recording now, and he's like, "Oh fuck, what the fuck?" Blah blah blah. Here we go. Hey, Razor, Ray Sheffield, eh? Razor, what did you guys say? You were already, if they were established, you guys coming in. What happened there? founder, the pioneer, the contraband. What's going on?
I'll tell you. In the first year we're in the league, they kicked our ass. It was bad. We were going so 2002, especially the dogs. I don't know, dogs or bears at that time, but I think you guys were all playing on the same team. I don't remember when the second team came in. I don't think you were all playing together.
What are you looking at?
Sorry, I think.
What are you looking at?
The first year. Sorry, I'm looking up.
Ray, are you okay?
Look at the planes go by.
I don't believe that they all separated into two teams at that point. So I think there was only one. So we were losing games 15-2, 16-1, those type of scores in the first year we were in the league. So it was a pretty tough go.
So was that when you first came to Australia? Oh,
so I arrived in Australia in 2000. We didn't have a team in the AI until 1 or 2 years after the league started up. So I believe when the league started up, it was maybe the Bears, Canberra, and Adelaide.
Adelaide, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know what year that was, and I don't know if it was 2000 or 2001 when that happened. I can't remember correctly.
So what I remember,
good.
This might help you. We won in 04. We lost in 03 to you guys. Sorry.
Fuck you.
Hang on. I'm trying to help you with dates. This is the only way I can remember stuff.
I'm sure you are.
I am. And we lost in 03 to you guys at Northwest.
Yes.
And then I think 02 was our first year, for memory.
Yeah. So I think Canberra won it. I think
they
Canberra
would have
won
stolen the trophy. They didn't win shit.
I think the altitude's getting to Ray over there, eh? Jesus.
Hey, so like early days, obviously hockey community is really small. Did you guys meet each other back then? Did you guys have beers after games, or like how did you first meet each other?
When did we meet, Ray? I think we met fairly soon.
Yeah, we did.
You know how I am, Bert. Generally, we take the boys back to whoever's bar it is. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But we probably didn't form a good bond and a good friendship until we ended up going away on the national team. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny.
We'd always chit-chat, but there was always a good love-hate relationship.
Yeah, well, you know what? That would have happened very quickly because Barnesy came there in 2002 when we won our first championship, and it wasn't long after that he was named coach of the Australian team. So
yeah.
I was right alongside with him as far as being part of the Australian team.
What
was like? Go ahead, Joe.
Sorry. What type of comparison to now? Like there's a lot of new people involved in hockey and stuff and whatnot. A lot of new fans and whatnot, and people love the fast-paced atmosphere, the fast-paced games and stuff like that. But back in the day, like I know how old school hockey is. Bertie knows how old school hockey is, but like enlighten people. Tell them about old school hockey in Australia. It's like it's no, for better terms, there's no tummy sticks. There's no tapping boys. Hey boys, how are you? Car rides in, stuff like that.
Not many people know because it's things move quick and things are forgotten quick. But from the Ice Dogs' point of view, we had Chris Gaylou, who no one would really even know his name these days unless they were around back then. But that guy was something pretty special for the Dogs, and he put something into us, and most teams would have felt it. he just said, when we go into other rinks, win or lose or draw, they are going to absolutely hate the fact that they actually turned up today, even in their own home rink. So we took that that attitude and that, you call it hatred, call it whatever, into the rink even before the warm-up. And after the game, completely different story, but we took that and we owned it and we lived it. And, you know, I even remember when Newcastle was starting out, like our rivalry kicked off hard and fast, and we learned to hate everyone in the organisation. Gary, Rob Barnes, Ray as captain. Like, it didn't matter. Like, the shit that was going on between the benches, it's so lucky that all-in brawls didn't erupt every game. Like, it was crazy. It was crazy. But when you're in the moment, you didn't even know it was happening, to be honest.
Yeah. And that's the good thing about hockey, even back in the day, and the boys like yourself, Razor, and whatnot, is that they learned to play. They learned to play the game. And as soon as the buzzer was done, the buzzer was done. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you go have a beer about it.
Exactly.
It's over, yeah. Well, I'll tell you, actually, talking about Chris Galu, he approached me after he was finished. It must have been after he retired. And he came up to me and congratulated me on what I'd done in Newcastle as far as where the hockey had gone to and my part in all of that. But the dark side, that was the good side of the story. The dark story is I recall after I scored a goal, this was in Newcastle, and I'd scored a goal and I was skating along, hands up in the air, and he came over and he frickin' nailed me on the boards, and a couple of jumped him, and obviously after a few punches and whatever, I obviously laid down on the ice like I was hurt. I wasn't hurt.
Did you just admit that?
Razor, if there was some sort of reptile that you could compare yourself at that point, what would it be?
A turtle.
Oh.
Oh shit.
But yeah, Chris Galu was exactly what you said, Willow, man. He was one of those guys that had a passion for the game, and he definitely was somebody that we thought about every time we stepped on the ice, for sure.
Well, I think, Willow, through that, I kind of caught the end of that, I guess, old-time hockey phase where the game started to go a skilled direction. But when I came out in 2010, that doggies brand of hockey, man, I bought into it. We had a tough team, right? And nobody wanted to play us in Liverpool, especially on a Sunday. We dominated Sundays, right? I wouldn't want to play us. I wouldn't want to play you. I wouldn't want to play Whitey, Albert. Man, the list goes on and on. Quite a cast of characters. And, you know, at that point, Ray, I saw the rivalry between the Dogs and the Northstars too, and we lost in the semifinal that year to you guys in Melbourne, right? And I think maybe I met you in the bar after that, but I feel like I'm kind of the common denominator in all of this. It's kind of weird.
What type of players were you guys after back in the day, Willow? When you guys would recruit players, like what were you guys looking for? Was it word of mouth? Was it, you know, how do you guys go about doing that? Did you have a say in it? Did you have an input? Like you're a founder now.
Willow, did you bring Tobin?
Who?
Tobin.
Fucking right, I did.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you tell the story then. You answer Joey's question.
Love it. It's a long story, Joey, but I'll summarize it really quick. And Rob Barnes taught me a lot. Originally, if I was looking for players, I looked for junior B players who originally who had a lot of skill and decent points, but liked to party and were decent guys and actually wanted to come to Australia and didn't mind paying their own way and would get a working visa and didn't mind finding their own job and realised that they weren't coming for a free ride because we didn't have money. Yeah. And then Rob, he said to me, he said, Willow, listen, as good as Newcastle is, he said, we invest a lot of money, but as bad as you are is how far you pull the league down. And he said, what I mean by that is if you don't bring in professional imports, it's not going to help your organisation ever change or ever grow. Yeah. And that was where I started to look a little bit alternatively outside of the Junior B or Tier 2 or whatever it was. And that was where we found Tobin. And he was, we had Jesco. So when we won, we had Jesco and we had a guy named, and I always took, I'm not like Gary and I'm very different in the way that I was still playing. So I recruited guys that I didn't want the arrogant prick that was going to come out and get 50 goals and think that he was God's gift to hockey and women, because I'd be putting that fucker on a plane and going, fuck off back to wherever you're not making it. And, you know, I wanted the guy that I wanted to play with. So my headspace was completely different than someone that should be running an organisation. Yeah. But in 04, it actually worked. Where the three guys that we brought in, one was Frederick Nylander, who didn't get to play in the grand final. He dislocated his shoulder in the semi, but this guy lit it up. He was from Sweden, but when he wrote to me, he was the coolest guy I've ever written emails to, and I went, you've got to come to our club. Then we had another guy, John Heinen. John Heinen lit up the junior leagues, and then unfortunately, his brother passed away and gave up hockey, and he gave it up for about 2 or 3 years. But I dug out his old stats, and he goes, I just want to come to Australia and have a great time. And I went, cool, dude. Yep. And then the third guy, I can't remember our fourth guy that year, but it might have been Branislav Kromka maybe. Our third guy was Martin Jesko, and he was a Slovakian guy that I went out to our development league one day, and he's out there coaching kids, and he's doing some shit. And I went, Dad, who the fuck's this guy? And he goes, he's out. He doesn't even speak English. I went and met him, and I said, would you like to play? And he said, I don't have gear. And I said, no, you've got gear, mate. Like, we'll register you. And we got him playing almost immediately, and he won the league that year in points. Back then, I had no strategy other than my strategy back then was good guys, full stop. Then it changed, and Rob started to, you know, help me a little bit and talk to me, and I started to pay attention a little bit more. And then I started to go for guys that had a little bit more professional experience, and we had a lot of mistakes as well. But Tobin was a cracker. Tobin I had to have. There's a couple of reasons. Number one, he had the highest penalty minutes in a hockey league, and he wanted to come and play in Blacktown. And I went, fucking tick. Like, that ticks the box. Number two, he was really, really well-spoken. He wanted to work his ass off when he got here, and all he wanted to do was coach. And he had a long professional career, and I went, tick. And then number three, he had no neck. And I went, he must be tough.
So the guys you had that year, the imports, you had Paul Simmons,
Paul Simons, yeah.
Paul Simons, you had Jared Smith, Victor.
Yeah, Victor was the Swede.
Rissendahl, yeah. Cameron Kusick.
Cam Kusick, when we won in 04.
Yeah, Craig Strain.
Yeah. Strain quit.
Mike Tobin. And
yeah, he didn't. No, this isn't 04. That's not 04.
This is 0506.
So that's 0506.
Yeah, that's 0506.
Go back a year. So go back a year, and we got stupid phone. Trevor Abel.
Cut this.
Yeah, Trevor Abel was our fourth. He was a big, old school, very slow defenseman. Stay home.
Ross McDougall.
Yeah, he didn't stick it out, or he didn't get much ice time, one or the other. He played the English Premier League as a defenseman.
Yeah, Jesco, Jubes, Jacob Markoulis.
Yeah, Jacob Markoulis.
Is that the really tall guy?
Yeah.
No, he was the guy that Gary fucked up the year before when he was meant to play in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That was where the Ice Dogs nearly had a brawl after the game in the car park.
Yeah.
Trevor Abel, England, Fraser Fick.
Nah, this isn't 04 either. That'd be 05. That'd be 03 or 05.
Good Lord. Elite prospect sucks. I'm going to stop with my stats right now then.
Yeah, Joe, moving forward, where are we going from here?
Anyways. Yeah, so that's how everything was. So you base it on guys you wanted to play with. Not guys and instructions, stuff like that. And that's a great strategy. You know what I mean? Like we try to do that up in Newcastle a bit. But that's a great idea. And obviously it paid out for you guys for a while.
It was all about quality boys. That was it.
100%. You guys are known through the league. The Dogs are known through the league. They're the toughest guys. They're the toughest team in the league. They have been for years. There's nothing changing it. You guys tailed off for a bit, and you're coming back full tilt like that. Is that something that you implement? Is it something that the club just wants to get back to? What do you think? What do you reckon?
As in toughness?
Yeah.
I think the game's completely changed. And just being on the bench last year and assisting for the tail end of the season, I don't think there's any place for it at all. Toughness, to me these days, the word is completely different to what it used to mean. And I think, the game still needs toughness, but toughness these days.
You need to get knocked down and get back up. And
yeah, it's resilience. It's not how tough. Yeah. It's not just.
Toughness isn't fighting anymore. It's strength and resilience, like you say.
Yeah. I got a good story about Bert. You can finish off with that if you want. Just remind me about the story about Bert.
We will. We got stories for Bert. Ray Sheffield, 2000. Ray Sheffield. He ventured out in 2000. He never looked back. What's going on with there?
Yeah, well, I met a girl that I kind of became very good friends with in high school. She was from a Newcastle girl, and she lived in my hometown of Collingwood, Ontario for a year. And we became very good friends. And in 2000, early in 2000, I was in a relationship in Vancouver, wasn't very happy. She said, why don't you come over here, see what you think. And I basically said, well, I don't really want to come unless they have a rink. And at that time, I don't know if I was really hockey or if I just said it because I wasn't sure whether I wanted to come to Australia, and she couldn't deliver that. So she
married
said, well,
to the game.
Yeah, she said, they're actually building a rink in Newcastle. And so she went and got in touch with the manager of the rink, who was appointed a manager of the rink, and that was Gary Doré. And I was working at a hockey shop in Vancouver at the time, and he needed someone to run the pro shop. So he said, get him over here, and the rest is history. I came over, and things just really fell into place. I was using my old shop to buy stuff to support our pro shop at the time because we were really struggling with getting stuff in there. So we got some low-end gear, got everybody on the ice, as many as we could, and I looked like the hero. It was I don't know if I was. you know, on the play.
How old were you, Ray?
40.
I was 29 when I arrived here. I turned 30.
Wait a minute here. So 29.
So now he's about 60.
20 years.
Yeah, but he's Benjamin Button over there.
I turned 50 in October.
You're like,
I turned 50.
you're 9 years old now. So why is it that everybody, when I say how old I am, and then I say how old you are, and then they say, no. Ray,
Yeah. Look at you.
Razor, well, I say that every morning. I say that every morning when I come out of the shower. Look at you. Look at you.
Perfect.
Then I do the lasso. But anyway, so then what? Then your pro career started from there. You're Ray Sheffield.
As I said before, we didn't start in the league till 2002. So in the first years I was playing, I think we had a junior B team or something like that. So I played in that comp. And then we started up in 2002. We brought out a couple of imports, junior B quality kind of guys. Great guys, but we got our ass kicked. We just weren't prepared for what was here. And then the next year, obviously, we brought out a professional coach and far better quality players. We won it. So
how many years didn't you play contact, Ray?
How many years didn't I play? So probably 5. Well, I was in Vancouver for 5 years. Didn't play any contact while I was in Vancouver. I played senior A hockey when I was in Ontario. Moved to Vancouver. I was there for 5 years and then moved to here. So 7 years, sorry. 7 years.
Do you remember what happened the first game we played against each other?
I freaking know everything, man.
Oh,
Know everything. Yeah.
I saved his life.
Bitch.
I could have ended his life.
Yeah. He yelled out to me.
He remembers. Fuck, that's a lot of years ago. You remember?
all right. Amazing stories. Those stories are absolutely classic. Let's speed it up. Here a bit. You know, Willow, you come from heritage. You come from a bloodline of hockey in Australia that I don't think anybody can attest to. You know, being the son of John Wilson, you're Anthony Wilson. Your son now is playing hockey. Like that. How does that go? How do you compare? Like, you know, being taught by your dad. We had Peasy on last week, and Peasy attributes his starting hockey to you. You know, now you're coaching. Like this is a massive transition. What do you reckon of this? Like,
it's pretty weird. With my son, and I think when I was playing, I was so intense and I would like almost ridiculously intense. I didn't care about friendships. I didn't care about anything. When it was game time or training time, like I was almost selfish in the way that I was. When I was a dad in hockey, the one thing I tried really, really hard to do was step back and let my son's own fate be his fate. And with my personality, you know, it's pretty intense at probably when I'm asleep as well. I don't know because I'm asleep. But I think I had to be so careful because I was scared that, you know, I'd scare Jesse's coaches or whatever it was. And every single one of them was intimidated by me. So I would go and find my spot in the grandstand. I'd sit away from every single parent in the ice rink and just grab my son after the game and jump in the car and get the hell out of town. And I probably did him a massive injustice, I think. I think I should have found a better line. But out of anything, whether he plays the level that I did or not, he loves the game, and he's found his own unique style, and the players love him. He's a locker room guy, and he's got a far better work ethic than I have ever had. So I think there's a funny balance. I think you can be that dad. I think, you know, if I had a different personality or a bit more relaxed personality, I'd have a lot more skilled kid playing, but I don't know that he'd be playing. Where, given that I stepped back and didn't go intense on him, he's still playing. So I think it's a really fine line, and all dads will find their feet. And it's one of those things you've really got to know when to step back. You know, you guys know yourselves, so many Canadian fathers overstep the line.
Yeah.
They can't help it because it's just their DNA. My dad never crossed the line. My dad never, ever crossed the line.
Yeah.
He stayed right back and let me make teams or get cut, whatever it was.
Do you think that has a big thing on, you know, especially with the passion on how he plays with, is that he was old enough to respect the style of hockey, to respect you watching you play hockey. You know, say for someone like myself and Bert, you know, I'm not playing anymore, and you know, just playing men's league, and Bert's going to be not too far out, but our kids are a lot younger. You know, they were your son and Ray's kids. They were old enough to watch him play. You know, to respect how he played hockey. They respected how you played hockey. They respected what you did on the ice. You know, do you think that has a major attributes to how he plays?
I'd love to agree with you. I think Jesse respects my reputation more than he respected what he saw at the end of my career.
Yep.
I think he just saw a grumpy old man trying to cross-check this dark fella in Newcastle whenever he could. Dad, why don't you like that guy? Because I can catch him. No, he I don't know. He's a really unique kid, really unique, and he's always sort of found his own feet. And he is very respectful of what I've done, but completely different player and non-apologetic of who he is, which is what I love. And you know, yeah, he's taken his own path. So
he's an individual. He's an individual,
yeah,
which is very rare. Which is very rare amongst kids these days, you know.
Yeah. He's non-apologetic in everything, in life, in work, in friends, in whether he parties or whether he's, you know, drinking with his mates or whatever it is. He's non-apologetic. He will do it and he'll own it. Where me, that's not my personality. You know, I care about what others think. Jesse owns his decisions from start to finish. You know.
Awesome. Bertsky.
Man, it's funny you say that, but like, you know, I think as a leadership style, you were a bit unapologetic too, not in a bad way at all. As a leader, just a straight shooter, and that's what I really respected about you, especially coming in as a young guy into the league. You were just kind of that figure, told you how it is, told you if you sucked that shift or not, and you know that's what it was. And you ultimately earned my respect because of that. So, you know, I bet that has ultimately, you know, worn off on Jess, because he's a great kid, you know. So good on you, man. You're a good dad.
Thank you, buddy.
Razor.
And I'm kind of in the middle of that right now too. You know, my boy's 6 years old. If he wants to play hockey, that's great, and I hope he does. But if he doesn't, you know, I never ever considered that my kid wouldn't want to play hockey, right? But we're at a crossroad, and he can do whatever he wants to do. If he wants to be a soccer player, I hope he's a good soccer player, and I'll support him in that. But I don't want to push it too hard to the point where it pushes him away, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's what you're getting at before.
And I had that too. So my other boy's the soccer boy. And, you know, recently he went to China and played soccer for Stoke City, like the English team. And he came back here. He went back there. He went to high school on a full scholarship. And he came back to Australia and he said, I don't want to play anymore. That's it.
Okay. Yep. Find your calling. What's next, right? As long as they're involved in something and, you know, focused on something.
And they're good people. That's the key. That's the absolute number one key out of all of this. Yeah. And that's the one thing hockey, that's the one thing all of you will admit, you know, like hockey, the good people. There's 1 in 100. We've all had them come through our teams, and they're the nutbags that we all talk about. But the majority of hockey people, you could go anywhere in the world and sit with them in a bar and have the best night, the best conversation, because they just get shit. They're respectful. They're nice people.
I can't think of too many, Willow, that I would not do that with. I just can't think of any.
Yeah.
That's one of the big things how I even actually started over here was 05 Chase the Girl. I was over here, opened up the newspaper, and there was an ad in the Newcastle Herald just to come watch ice hockey. There's a Newcastle Northstars ad. And it turns out one of the guys on the ads was one of the guys that we billeted back home, Steve Wasilico. And
what was his name?
Steve Wasilico. So he was.
That was the year you beat us in 04.
04. Yeah.
Was he a left-handed player?
Yeah.
I think he was a righty.
Oh.
Good guess, Joe.
Good player.
50%.
Yeah. He played Major Junior, I believe.
Yeah, he played Neil. Drafted by Hartford because he was in Plymouth.
Yeah, draft pick.
Yeah.
So that was the year. That was the year that Starkey and the two Starks came out. Yeah. And Jackson Wilson.
So Razor, what about you, man? Man, you had a lengthy career, and now you have the joys, and I see it firsthand. You have the joys of coaching your kids. You know, how does that transition? How do you feel about that? You know, like you're, you got a name for yourself, Ray Sheffield in Australian hockey. Like I said before, and the thing is that just like the Wilsons, you're a household name, Ray. How do you transition from being a household name in hockey to now a dad behind the bench, a dad coaching the kids?
Yeah, you know what? To the kids, it means Jack, because they don't know who I am. Never see me play. My kids, yeah. To the parents, they're the ones. Well, I'm coaching my kid, and I love coaching my kid. For me, I have pretty high expectations of my kids, and it's hard. I have a hard time watching my kids play when they don't put effort into their game, because that's the way I played. I don't care whether they're the best players in the game, but I care whether they work the hardest. And I expect if you want to be an athlete, to me, it's like the Michael Jordan documentary. You want to be the best player out there. To me, if you want to play the sport, you want to be the best.
Yeah.
You want to work the hardest. And I might not have been the best player skill-wise out there, but I wanted to work the hardest. And that's the way I felt in practices. In 2002 until the time where I probably hit like 38 or 39 or something like that, where I was like, you know what, I should have hung them up, because that's the time when I didn't really want to go to practice. But there was a time when at practice, I wanted to be the fastest guy from one end of the ice to the other. That was my mindset. And I that to my kids, and it's hard to sit there and watch my kids not try, or I want them to try every drill, regardless of what kind of drill it is. And for the most part, my kids, they really do.
Yeah, they're out there. They're out there all the time. They're out there giving it all. And you know, like just like anything else, you know, if the kids aren't failing, they're not trying.
Yeah, I mean, it's my daughter loves the sport. I think at some point she will be one of the best. You know, if she has played for New South Wales for probably 4 years, 3-4 years at groups, and my son Nate, he's funny. He's going to be a big kid. He's bigger than most of the kids in his age group, and when he clicks to him what he's got to do, I think he'll be okay.
Hey guys, is Ray jumping in and out for you, or is it everything okay?
I didn't hear fucking any of that, man.
Yeah, he was good over here. He's fine on the recording. We'll edit all this part out. Yeah, they 100% agree. You know what I mean? And you know, it's great to have bloodlines like yourself, Razor, Willow, the same thing, and you know, you guys, the next generation coming up, and you know, like you said, is that you guys are also involved. You know, and I think the hockey in Australia needs that. You know, hockey in Australia needs that generation, the Willow generation, the Razor generation, you know, the Stevenson generation, you know, the Malloy hopefully generation and stuff to contribute back, and that's how the game's going to develop. You know, that's how the game's going to keep progressing.
Well, I think that's definitely, you know, the next step in my career. It's the next chapter in my life is hopefully coaching. I really think that's kind of like my calling, and that'll scratch the itch, my competitive spirit of some sort, and kind of fill that hockey void. Yeah. But I know, Willow, I've talked to you about this before, and throwing it out to Razor too. Like, would you guys ever get back into, say, coaching the national team? Because I think you two as a duo would be awesome. Just throwing it out there. But any thoughts moving forward there?
Yeah, 100%. It's something I definitely want to do. Like, if when you stop playing, and you'll see this one day, Bert, it's, if you don't play for 6 months, you get this this lost, sick feeling, and you don't even know who you are anymore. Like, you almost lose your identity. And it's just to get back in the change room. And then when you walk back in with the old timers, it's like, oh my God, okay, I'm alive. I still know who I am. I've got that itch to one day coach, you know, whether it's a national team or whether it's the Ice Dogs full time myself for a couple of seasons. I definitely want to do that. But, yeah, I don't know whether it's selfishness or not, but I'm kind of waiting for a lot of things to align. I don't want to do it whilst I'm still heavily involved with my kids and sport and weekends. And, you know, what plays a big toll on me is I am a single dad. So every second weekend I get my kids. And then if I'm on the road or if I'm traveling, they're weekends I have to sacrifice that it's pretty hard to sacrifice.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of getting the kids to an age where they go, you know what, Dad, you also need this as well. So yeah, it's coming.
Or even when he's playing with you, you know, or when he's playing with the dogs, you know, and then you're able to have that, and you know, then you'll be able to hopefully bring the other boy on board as a stick boy or whatnot. Then you guys can have a, you know, hopefully a father-son weekends and stuff like that, you know.
I don't know if he's tough enough to play if I'm coaching Joey.
Well, you know what they do. What is it? Usually isn't it if your kid plays on the team, you just hand them off to the assistant coach. You just
automatic captain. Automatic captain.
Yeah, auto captain. Auto captain. Yeah. No, that's it. I think it's great, and I really truly hope that we see that Australia sees both of you guys in serious coaching roles in the near future. It's a major sacrifice, but I think you guys, I think if anybody has the ability to do it, in the near future, I think both of you guys have the amount of skill and talent and background to do it. I think you guys would achieve at highest end.
I think, like anything as well, it's chemistry. And I think Ray and I, ever since we've known each other away from playing, well, even playing against each other, but there's a mutual respect, and it's kind of, everyone knows when someone should speak. And I think if, Ray and I could click very easily.
Yeah, I think so. I saw that. I thought about that this week and wanted to bring that up.
Yeah.
Just planting the seed,
Yeah, it was one thing that comes back in my memory is Willow
flying in the corner, looking to take my head off.
Yeah.
Oh no.
When we told Razor Willow was coming on the podcast with him, he just heard footsteps. That's all he heard. He looked real fast. He looked real fast. What?
Sorry, Ray. Go ahead.
He's not here yet.
I told these guys a story, Willow, before this all started, I think. But I remember standing at face-offs, and fucking you would take the feet out from under me almost every fucking face-off.
Why were you standing up? Why were you standing up at a face-off?
I
touchdown.
After a while,
Probably
I figured it, and I would face him. I would face him so that he couldn't fucking slap my feet out.
You know what the definition of insanity is, Ray?
Yeah, I know.
I'm sorry. All I can do is apologize these days.
They only can apologize
when COVID's over, I'll give you a hug.
He only can apologize once, Razor. What's before we kick off, before we finish, we gotta hear this story about Bertsky. You told it. What is it?
Yeah, this is I haven't told it. Or maybe I've told it once, and that's about it. And it was when 2013, and it was a tough year for me. I had injuries, and I'd been through a breakup with the wife, and the boys had called me back and said, "Willie, you got to play," and blah, blah, blah. So I went back and played. And it was a year where Bert was the captain of the team, the Ice Dogs, which I started, right? Anyway, we went through the season, and many, many things happened that year, and we get to the playoffs, and we play in the semi-final. And I had a pulled groin, so I wasn't really playing. Bert took a knock in the game. And then even right up until then, I may have told Bert, I'm proud of you as captain and everything else and blah, blah, blah. But it was a bit of lip service, and deep down inside, it was a hard pill to swallow, still not being the captain of the team. But despite all of that, Bert was really, really, really fucked up. Like one of the worst injuries I've ever seen. And really couldn't walk. Went to bed, compressed the fuck out of his leg, did everything that a doctor would tell you not to do, just so he could play the next day. And then the next day, he dressed and he played in a final like he didn't even have an injury. And I remember after the game, we're sitting in the locker room, or we stood up, and I just went over to him and I went, "Mate," I was fucking crying my eyes out like a baby, and I just went, "I couldn't step down from being a captain to anybody else but you after what you just did." And that is what,
Thank you, man.
that's leadership. That's leadership.
You know what?
But I got to tell you what. I don't think I've ever said this either. Love Kimmer to death. One of my best friends in the world. But one of my biggest regrets of my hockey career is not giving you the cup when we won it that day. Even Kimmer said it as I was handing him the cup. No, Willow. And I'm sorry for that. You deserve that.
Yeah.
You deserve that.
Oh, good. We wouldn't have won it if you didn't do what you did. So
we wouldn't want. Oh, Simon Barg, Dave Dunwoody, 50 points.
That's great, boys. I do recall. I think that year you guys beat us in the final. And,
I do.
And I recall, Bert, you being wheeled out in a fucking wheelchair or something past our change room. So I thought, at that time, I didn't really know much about you. I kind of knew who you were, but I didn't really, hadn't really, I guess, earned your ticket in the league. I guess I don't know how to say it, but
yeah, fair enough. That was an average player, right?
For sure. I thought, man, this guy's fucking legit.
All I gotta say about that game, though, however, big shout out, my buddy Dom Osmond, Hattie, not a big deal.
Yeah, he did.
But thank you for bringing that up, though. Like, I did it for you guys. That's what gets me off, right? I'm sorry. That's man, crazy times. It was one of the sickest
injuries and leg swelling things I've ever seen.
Yeah. I remember him getting wheeled out past our change room in a wheelchair or in a fucking shotgun. I don't know what the fuck what were you in?
I don't know. I think I had crutches. And then a wheelchair the next day.
Fucking pushing
Did the crutches?
Out. No, I was in a wheelchair.
Like Wizard of Oz?
No. I was in a wheelchair in the airport on that Sunday. Hey, because so was my knee. So it's Scott Stevenson, right?
We brought Ray in a wheelchair in the airport on Sunday many times. Boys, I don't know how we can bounce back from that. Any stories, Bert wears capes. We gotta crash on the ship.
I got a question, Willow. Who's the toughest guy you fought?
Oh.
In the
probably myself.
In the
mirror.
We already know who Ray fought. We already told that story when I put him through.
In the AI.
The toughest guy that I tried to fight that I didn't fight was Trevor Walsh. And
don't wait, time out. I want to put a time out right now, okay? I don't want to start this conversation because you're going to guess who's the toughest guy that Ray fought. And Ray was even with. Ray, who was it? Trevor Walsh. Oh. And I hear it all the time. That's exactly what he did to you. That's exactly what he did.
I actually didn't get to fight him. I grabbed him and he moved backwards and it dislocated my shoulder and I fell to the ground and he didn't punch me. That was it.
Boys,
I didn't fight a lot, Ray.
Guys,
Ray, if you remember.
We could go on forever.
I'll finish Ray's question for him, though.
All right, go ahead.
Ray, if you remember, we never fought. But I probably knocked you on your ass 50 times in your career. That was enough.
I know. I wouldn't. You know what? I was asked. I had a questionnaire 2 weeks ago, and they asked me who the toughest guys I was up against in the AI, and I said there's several guys that I wouldn't fight, and you were one of those. And yourself, I guess Bridge. I think I mentioned Joe and Vinny.
Whitey.
I didn't mention Whitey, but probably Whitey. Yeah.
I wouldn't have liked to have fought Whitey.
No. And Berkey.
Oh, Berkey. Sweet hog Donnie Burke. Oh,
yeah. So those like 6 guys, I wouldn't even go near.
Razor, you're a man. You're a man amongst men. You wouldn't fight me. Boys, look, we could go on forever and ever, and this has been.
I know.
This has been awesome. Been a great show. Bertsky, I don't know if we can top this.
And it's an absolute honor, boys. Honestly, you're both are legends of the game. You know, legends to both of us. Thanks for coming on. I mean, for what it's worth, it's an excuse to shoot the shit and talk some hockey. So thanks for taking the time. Maybe we'll do this again. I mean, the stories are endless, right?
Yeah, boys, awesome. Thanks, Steve, for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
thanks for having us, boys, and love it. And keep up the good work. And hope to see you all one day for a beer and actually lots of beers. But yeah.
5 acres. 5 acres down Blue Mountains Way. I don't know. I don't know.
I'll bring my fishing wet, Willow, and we can hit a few golf balls and have some nice reminiscing.
Absolutely, buddy. Absolutely.
Reminiscing. I'll bring a sleeping bag.
I'll pack the
We'll
tent.
talk about a plane trip back from Europe.
No.
That's in the next episode.
All right, boys. All the best. Again, thanks, Steve. Catch up. Let's go.
See you, boys.
Take care.